Jameson, here with Acre Forge and Kasey Mills, who's a partner in Sesame Collective. We're at one of his restaurants in downtown Portland called Mediterranean Exploration Company. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and Sesame Collective?
Yeah, okay, so, well, I'm from South Dakota originally. I lived there for the first 20 years of my life, and then I moved to Portland in the year 2000. My whole goal was to go to culinary school and kind of see what happens, and you know, I went to school and I started working in the city, and I worked around the city for about 3 or 4 years, kind of working myself up from like prep cook all the way up into like working the hotline. Okay. And at that point, kind of like with any industry, if you move towns, you got to start over. Yeah. I really liked Portland, so I stayed and just kind of kept working. In 2007, I met John Gorham, and I became the sous chef of Toro Bravo, which opened up. And then in 2014, we went into partnership here together and opened up the Mediterranean Exploration Company, a couple others along the way. And then the pandemic happened. And like with the pandemic, there was a lot of change up. And I ended up buying the company, and we rebranded it as the Sesame Collective and kind of moved forward from there. The Sesame Collective was a really interesting name for us because this was during the pandemic, and it was during a time when Portland was kind of on fire. There wasn't a lot of people coming in to eat or to like even support us, and sesame seeds are like a major staple in Mediterranean cuisine, but they're also fire and drought resistant. So we felt like that was a really strong symbolism for us. And then the whole thing about the Sesame Collective is, while there are owners and there are chefs that run it, the idea is that the in-house teams are the ones that really deserve the recognition, and they really deserve to stand out. And so we kind of built the company around the idea of not having to be about one person or one chef, but more about our group.
That's awesome. So what in general have you looked to bring to the community with these restaurants?
You know, I think, like, realistically, I think people are further and further away than they've ever been from each other. I think with things like social media and some of that stuff, like, they're not connecting like they used to, especially after the pandemic and all the working from
100%.
home. I think for us, it's just building a spot where communities can come together and people can feel connected. I am a firm believer in servitude. So I believe that this is a service that I can provide to the community and to the people around them to give them something to go off of. I think with like a lot of restaurants, one of the things I heard during the pandemic from customers were like, you were one of the saving graces. Because, you know, I mean, for me in the pandemic, all I wanted was a haircut and a burrito. And I couldn't get either of those things, you know? And so when people were able to order Mediterranean food or order at a restaurant stuff, I know it meant a lot to them.
I know we ordered from here a bunch of times. At the time we were just living about a mile away, so this was huge for us. So high quality food preparation, why is it important and why does it matter so much to you guys?
I think it's multifolded. I think for us, the high quality food usually means that the farmers are paying attention to their ground and to their dirt and making sure that they're doing good things for the environment or better environmental choices, which I think in turn goes into the food and then it goes into our bodies. So I think not only does it taste better, but it's more nutritious for us. So wherever we can, when it makes sense, we're trying to go that route. Plus trying to support local as much as we can. I mean, it was really interesting in the pandemic when everybody got their $3,000 dividends, right? But then we all gave it to Jeff Bezos, you know. So we're trying to stop that from happening the best we can.
Trickle up economics. So I actually remember we met at Wild About Game. It would have been like 2017, 2018, and I still remember the dish. It was braised lamb with like yogurt sauce on a warm pita. And, like, it was so good. I went back for like 3 or 4, and it just like really resonates how. And I don't want this to sound like it is a compliment, but simple. But like 3 really simple ingredients, but it just like it was done so well that it knocks it out of the park. And like I don't know, maybe it's just a bit of a podium I'm standing on, but like it's really hard to do simple well because there's nothing to hide behind. And like that was so good.
I think that that's like where I strive for. I think when, I was young, there was a lot of decisions to make on what kind of chef I wanted to be. And I remember I went to a place to do a stage, and he had a pretty good name at the time. And I went into his kitchen, and really he was just setting a protein on a plate, and there was just a bunch of sauces all around it. And then he got his tweezers out, and he might, and I just remember watching that, and I was like, I don't know where the actual cooking is here, and I decided at that moment that I was more interested in actually learning how to like braise in these deeper, richer flavors. And that led me to go to this guy named Paul Klitze, who owned a place called Fratelli's that was here in the Pearl. It's been gone now 10 years, but he was from the Netherlands. He was Dutch, but he was cooking Italian food. He had a really thick accent. It was hard to understand him. But he was the one who taught me more about pulling out the flavors of the food instead of manipulating the flavors of food. And that's kind of like what drove me ever since. And then, my old partner was kind of the same way. It was more about this one-pot cooking style than it was about making food look fancy.
Never heard it put that way. What is it about Acre Forge that interests you? Well, just put us on the spotlight now,
So, I mean, me and you go way back. I think one of my favorite memories of Beyond the Wild About Game was having you come in and teaching our crew how to sharpen knives. And that was such an eye-opening experience from it that when the pandemic happened, I was, scrolling the Instagram, and I think I bought at least a couple of knives from you during the pandemic. I mean...
Yeah, and I mean, full circle, like, as you guys were experiencing what you guys were, like, we were in the middle of trying to set up a shop, our equipment was stuck in different ports around the world, and, like, there's times where a few key orders really, like, made or break us, and, like, I specifically remember you ordering a couple of knives, and it's like sales have been down, and then all of a sudden there's a Damascus knife order, and it's like, fuck yes, rent is paid. Like, all right, next month. Like,
that's awesome.
And supporting local, like we talked about. It just all comes full circle, and really appreciative of the relationships we've made in Portland and continuing to build on them. So.
I remember parking my car in the street and then having to duck under your garage door
to
like walk back into the like studio.
Super dark shop, just lights out in the background.
And then buying knives. I mean, I even brought my kid there. You remember that? Do you remember when I brought Leo there?
Yeah. It felt a little illegal. But it was
above board. And then I mean, seeing what you've done and how you've grown out that and everything that Acre Forge has to offer. I mean, not only are the knives great, and like seeing what you and your team are doing on your customs and your flagship, but then also you guys seem to be really going towards the community, which is a really cool thing to see. I mean, like, it's inspiring. We need more of it,
and we want to. Like, service industry. It's an industry that we all appreciate. We all go out and eat, but like, as an industry, it's just like a really tough industry to make a living, and like just want to do what we can to make other people's lives easier, even if that's just using sharp knives, even if you don't buy a knife from us, teaching you how to sharpen, and you can use the best tools that you have available to you, and just trying to give back to that community. Let's see.
I think for me, the thing I love about knives the most is you as a chef work maybe 50 hours to 60 hours a week in a kitchen. It used to be 60, but now I think it's probably, like, most places should be down because of everything. But anyways, for me, it was always the inspiration of holding a new knife, getting to use the new knife, that made the next month to 2 months in the kitchen go by quickly, because every time I held the knives, I got to cut something, I was excited, and that really made the time go by.
So I noticed you use one of my signature knives. It's like a 9-inch carbon steel knife. Do you have a favorite knife in your repertoire? Like, what's your go-to knife size, style, material?
I mean, honestly, I think the knife that I was using, it's a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
I like that now for the rocking action a little
Yeah.
bit more. I used to like Santokus quite a bit. I
Yeah.
like to drag my knife when I'm
Okay.
using it, so I would do that as opposed to cutting
Yeah.
through. But I really think your custom knives lately, the ones that you've been doing maybe since the pandemic, they've really fell into their own, and they're so nice. They're nice to hold, but there's enough of a heel that you don't feel like you're going to hit your hand on the table.
I
It's
appreciate
very
that.
nice. Yeah.
Lastly, anything you want to plug? Anything you want to? I mean, I know you said you're working on a cookbook.
Yeah, so we are working on a cookbook.
Yeah.
We got, it's so funny. Her name's Holly, and she's a stand-up comedian.
Okay.
I perfectly was. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
getting someone funny to write this book, because
Okay.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
satire woven within
Yeah.
the story of since the pandemic on and owning restaurants. So that will be probably coming out next Christmas. So next Christmas.
Well, keep us posted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to be involved with whatever we can do to help.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah. I think. I mean, as of this moment, that's it. Like, we as a group decided no new projects for 2024, and we don't have anything in 25 yet. So,
Nothing
we'll
wrong with
see.
that, yeah.
No, there's always time to spend with the family and doing other things. So,
Honestly, thank you so much for sitting down and doing an interview, and also making tahini. Appreciate it. Appreciate what you're doing in the industry.
hey, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jason.
Cheers.
Where can everybody find you? Or where?
Oh, I'm not anywhere.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I do
What's
have.
the best way to maybe find some of your restaurants or?
Oh yeah, so going to sesamecollective.com is your best way to see our restaurants. We also have a blog page there, so you can see what the restaurant group is up to. We're constantly doing something. There's always something on the horizon. So that's a good place to check. You can also make a reservation there. You can also sign up for our newsletter there. We don't bombard one a month. That's what we do.
Cool.